Good morning to all the students. How are you doing? I hope you all are doing well and taking care of yourself. Stay fit and stay healthy and enjoy learning at home. With this, I, Ms. Rupali Avare, welcomes you all for this today's session. Our today's session is based on the chapter Electricity. Before starting to the chapter, I'll tell you a short story. In 1879, a bulb was invented by Thomas Edward Edison. But there is something which is required to light up the bulb. And that was something which was explored by Benjamin Franklin a century before the discovery of bulb. And you know what? That something is the electricity. So today, now let us study more about the electricity. We all know that electricity has an important place in modern society. We cannot imagine our life without the electricity. We depend on it for almost everything in our day-to-day life. In order to avoid the inconvenience faced due to failure of power supply, hospitals, banks, offices, and private institutions make alternative arrangements with the help of generators. Electricity is used for running electric furnaces, electric motors, and several other instruments used in industries. With this, domestic appliances like the fridge, which helps us to store the food, vegetables, etc. Then the electric oven, mixer, fans, washing machines, vacuum cleaner, roti maker, and many more things. They helped us by saving time and labor. All these devices cannot be run without electricity. And you know what? Not only human beings, but some animals also use the electricity. For example, fishes catches their prey by using the electricity, as well as they use the electricity also for the self-defense. And one of the most excellent example of natural flow of electricity, that is lightning that strikes the earth. So electricity is present everywhere, right? Electricity, it has an important place in our life. We cannot imagine our life without electricity, as well as it is a controllable and convenient form of energy, so we can use it whenever we want, as well as you are able to attain these sessions. That is because of the electricity only, because you charge your mobiles, right? So electricity has a utmost important in our life. So today at the end of this session, you will be able to understand the concepts of current, electric potential and potential difference, circuit diagram, electrical components, Ohm's law, and limitations of the Ohm's law. So let us start with the first concept, that is electric current and the electric circuit. Now, you all are familiar with the water currents. When water flows, it carries water current. When air flows, it carries air current. Similarly, when electric charges flows, it has electric current, and this is also known as the rate of flow of charges. So we can express the electric current as the amount of charge flowing through a particular area in unit time. In other words, it is the rate of flow of electric charges. Now, as you know that electric charge is the fundamental property of a matter. There are two types of charges, positive charges and negative charges. These positive charges are carried by protons and negative charges are carried by electrons. We call any object to be positively charged when it will gain positive charges, that is the protons, or when it loses the electrons. Or vice versa, we can say an object to be negatively charged when it will gain electrons and when it will lose the protons. So in circuits using metallic wires, electrons constitute this flow of charges. However, electrons were not known at the time when the phenomenon of electricity was first observed. So, electric current was considered to be the flow of positive charges, and the direction of flow of positive charges was taken to be the direction of electric current. But conventionally, in an electric circuit, the direction of the electric current is taken as opposite to the direction of the flow of electrons, and which are the negative charges. Mathematically, we can express current equals to charge upon time. Let us consider if a net charge Q it is flowing through any cross section of a conductor in time t, then we can define the current through that cross section as I is equal to Q upon T. The SI unit of electric current is ampere. Then we can also define 1 ampere as the flow of 1 coulomb of charges per second. Then some smaller units of currents are expressed in milliampere or in microampere. 1 milliampere is equal to 10 to the power minus 3 ampere, and 1 microampere is equal to 10 to the power minus 6 ampere. So in short, we can write 1 ampere is equal to 1 coulomb upon 1 second. Now, the electric current is expressed by a unit that is called as the ampere, and this was named after a French scientist, that is André Marie Ampere. The ampere, often shortened to amp, is the base unit of electric current in the international systems of units. This French mathematician and physicist, he is also considered as the father of electrodynamics. 1 ampere is constituted by the flow of 1 coulomb of charges per second, as we have seen. Then, how to measure the current which is flowing through an electric circuit? So, for that, there is one instrument which is known as the ammeter, which is used to measure the electric current in a circuit. And always remember that whenever you are connecting this ammeter in any circuit, it is always connected in series in a circuit through which the current is to be measured. Here I have shown how this ammeter looks like, and in the second picture you will observe that there is a small electric circuit which consisting of a battery, then we have connected a bulb, and there is a ammeter which we have connected in series with two other components. So this is how we can measure the current, electric current in a circuit through this instrument which is known as the ammeter. To clear this concept more in detail, let us solve one numerical. Before that, we'll see how bulb glows, right? So what do you observe in this picture which is in front of you? So there are some components, like there is a battery, there is a switch, and there is an electric bulb, right? What else you observe here? Here, the bulb which you observe, it glows, right? Then how it glows, that we are going to see now. So before that, just see the connections. Battery, it is having two terminals, positive and the negative. Negative terminal of the battery is connected to the switch. Then from here it is connected to the one of the terminal of the bulb. And again this positive terminal of the battery is connected to the bulb. If you will see the direction of the current, it is taken as opposite to the direction of the flow of electrons, which are the negative charges. Now here the battery is acting as a source of for charges. So battery provides the flow of charges or an electric current through this bulb to glow, right? Now we know that the bulb gives light only when the switch is on, right? Now what is the function of this switch? What does a switch do? So this switch makes a conducting link between the cell, or here the battery, and the bulb. A continuous and closed path of an electric current is called as an electric circuit. Here the switch is on, that is creating a continuous and closed path, and because of that the bulb glows, right? But if the circuit is broken anywhere, or the switch is turned off, then obviously the current will stop flowing and the bulb does not glow. Clear? Now let us see one example. Now listen the example carefully. A current of 0.5 ampere is drawn by a filament of an electric bulb for 10 minutes. Find the amount of electric charge that flows through the circuit. So what is given here in this problem? So we know that the current which is drawn by the filament of an electric bulb, that is equal to 0.5 ampere. And that current is drawn for 10 minutes. So we know the time T is equal to 10 minutes. Now after writing the given quantities, let's check whether all are in same system or not. Ampere is a SI unit. So, and always we measure time in seconds. So convert this time, which is in minutes, into seconds. So 10 into 60, you will get time as a 600 second. And what we want to find is the amount of electric charges which are flown through this circuit. We know that current is equal to charges flowing per unit time. That means charges flowing through that circuit is equal to current into time. Just substitute the values of current and time. You will get the value or the amount of electric charges which are flown through this circuit, that is equal to 300 coulomb. Coulomb is the SI unit of electric charge. And you know what? 1 coulomb of charge contained in nearly 6 into 10 to the power 18 electrons. Now let us learn the next concept, that is electric potential and potential difference. Now we know that for the generation of electricity, water is released from a dam at a higher level, and because of gravity it falls to a lower level. Thus, as we know, the direction of flow of water between 2 points depend on the level of the 2 points. But what makes these electric charges to flow? As charges do not flow on themselves in any conductor. So let us understand this concept through the analogy of flow of water. For that, consider the arrangement as shown over here and note down your observation and tell me what happens when the clamp is removed. Does the water stop flowing? Why? What will you do to keep the water flowing for a longer duration? So here we have considered two tanks. If you will see the height of these two tanks, then it differs. One tank is kept at a higher level and another is kept at the lower level. And these two tanks are connected with the help of this tube. Now, there is a pressure difference between the 2 points of the tube, and because of that, water flows out of the other end of the tube. Just like water, the flow of electric charges between 2 points depend on a kind of electric level at those points. And this level is called as the electric potential. And the difference between the values of the potential at these two levels is known as potential difference between them. Then this potential difference can be produced by using a cell or a battery. As we know that work has to be done against this electric field because the charges do not flow on themselves, right? So work has to be done against this electric field to take a positive charge from a point of a lower potential to a point at a higher potential, right? So we can say the difference in potential between the positive and the negative terminal of a cell is the potential difference of that cell. This potential difference is caused by the chemical reactions occurring inside the cell. The potential difference sets the electrons in motion and results in the flow of electricity through a conducting wire connected to the two ends of the cell. Now, we can write mathematically, we can express the electric potential as work done per unit charge. We can represent or we can denote the potential difference by letter V, work done by letter W, and charge by letter Q. The SI unit for this potential difference is volt. The Italian scientist Alessandro Volta, he constructed the first electric cell, and hence the unit of potential difference is named volt in his honor. If 1 joule of work is done to move a charge of 1 coulomb from one point to the other in a current carrying conductor, then the potential difference between 2 points is said to be 1 volt. Therefore, we can write 1 volt is equal to 1 joule upon 1 coulomb. The potential difference measured across the terminals of an open cell is known as EMF, that is electromotive force. Voltmeter is used to measure potential difference, and a voltmeter is always connected in parallel across the points between which the potential difference is to be measured. So here is the picture of voltmeter. As I have said, we use it to measure the potential difference, and always remember that voltmeter is always connected in parallel across the points between which we want to measure the potential difference. Now let us understand this concept with the help of example. So the example is like how much work is done in moving a charge of 2 coulomb across 2 points having a potential difference of 12 volt. So first of all, think what is given. So we know that the amount of charges which are flowing, right? And that is equal to 2 coulomb. And the potential difference is of 12 volt. And we want to find out work done. As we know that potential difference between any 2 points is equal to work upon total charges transferred. Therefore, we can write work done is equal to potential difference between 2 points into total charge transfer. So here the potential difference was given as 12 volt and the charge is 2 coulomb. So 12 into 2 will get the work done as 24 joules. As we have seen the smaller units for the current, there are very smaller units for the potential difference also. That is 1 millivolt, 1 microvolt. With this, there we can measure the potential difference at the larger values, that is 1 kilovolt and 1 megavolt. 1 microvolt is equal to 10 to the power minus 6 volt. 1 millivolt is equal to 10 to the power minus 3 volt. 1 kilovolt is equal to 10 to the power 3 volt. And 1 megavolt, which is equal to 10 to the power 6 volt. Is it clear? Now let us understand the concept of electric diagram. As you can see here, you observe one electric circuit which comprises of battery, key, there are connecting wires, bulb is there, and some electrical components are also there, like ammeter is there, which is connected in series with this. This figure shows how these different components are connected in this electric circuit by using some special symbols, right? For each of the components. And such a figure is called an electric circuit diagram. Now, there are various symbols of some commonly used components in the circuit diagram. So let us see them one by one. An electric cell, the symbol is like this. two vertical lines, but the height is differ. Positive and negative terminal. Then what is the use of this cell? Can you tell me? Obviously, we can use it to apply a potential difference between the two ends of a conductor. Then comes the battery. So what is the battery? Battery is actually the collection of a number of cells, right? And therefore, you will see the symbol like this. Then what is the use of the battery? So we can also use the battery to apply a larger potential difference between two ends of the conductor. Next is the plug key or switch. It is also known as open tap key. The symbol is like this. Then why we use it? To stop the flow of current flowing in a circuit by disconnecting two ends of a wire. Then plug key or switched, which is closed. This is also known as closed tap key. What is the use of it? So it is used to start the flow of current in a circuit by connecting two ends of a wires. Next is a wire joint. The symbol is in front of you. Why we use it? To connect the various components, right? Then wire crossing without joining. We can use it to show wires which cross but are not connected. Then electric bulb. We can use it to test the flow of electricity. Bulbs get light when current is flowing and it unlighted when current is not flowing. Next is a resistor of resistance. Why we use it? To control the flow of current in the circuit. Next is the variable resistance. It is also known as the rheostat. It is used to change the resistance as required and thereby control the current. Next is the ammeter. It is used to measure the current flowing in the circuit. And next is the voltmeter, and it is used to measure the physical difference between the 2 points in a circuit. Now till now we have learned about the concepts of electric current and the potential difference. Now tell me, is there any relationship between the potential difference across a conductor and the electric current through it? To understand this concept more in detail, let us understand this with the help of activity. So, for this, set up an electric circuit as shown in the figure. This electric circuit is consisting of a nichrome wire, that is XY of length. Say suppose that length is 0.5 meter. Then an ammeter is there, a voltmeter, and 4 cells are there of 1.5 volt each. First, use only one cell as the source in the circuit. Note the reading in the ammeter for the current and reading of the voltmeter for the potential difference across the nichrome wire XV in the circuit. Then next, connect two cells in the circuit and note the respective readings of the ammeter and voltmeter of the values of current through the nichrome wire and potential difference across the nichrome wire. Now repeat the above activity using 3 cells and 4 cells in a circuit separately, and calculate the ratio of potential difference to current for each pair of potential difference and current. Now let us consider that when we have connected only one cell, the voltage across this resistor is 5 volt and the current which is flowing through this resistor is 1 ampere. Then when we have connected two cells, that time voltage across the resistor is 10 volt and current is 2 ampere. And when we have connected three cells, that time voltage across the resistor is 15 volt and the current in the resistor is 3 ampere. Then take ratio of voltage and current. In all cases, you will observe that though the values of voltage and current are varying, the ratio of voltage to the current remains constant for any values of voltage and current. If we'll plot a graph of potential difference versus current, the graph will be a straight line graph. If you will take a slope at this straight line, you will get the value of resistance, and the ratio of voltage upon current is always constant for the ohmic devices. Ohmic devices means the devices which follow this graph. And as we have seen that the slope of the line gives the value of the resistance. So this relation between the potential difference and the current was first established by the German physicist George Simon Ohm, and therefore it is known as the Ohm's law. So we can say the relation between the potential difference and current can be obtained from the Ohm's law. If the physical states of a conductor remains constant, physical states of a conductor means what? Means the length, area of cross section, temperature and the material of which that conductor is made up of. If these remains the constant, then the current flowing through this conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference between its two ends. Therefore, we can write I proportional to V or V proportional to I. Then to remove this proportionality constant sign, we take one constant, that is R. So we can write V upon I is equal to constant, which is equal to R. Or we can also write V is equal to IR, where R is a constant for a given metallic wire at a given temperature and it is called its resistance. The unit of resistance is volt upon ampere, and that is equal to ohm. The unit of resistance is denoted by this Greek letter. Then we can also define the resistance of 1 ohm as if 1 ampere of current flows through a conductor when 1 volt potential difference is applied between its ends, then the resistance of the conductor is equal to 1 ohm. But this Ohm's law, it has some limitations. Like Ohm's law is valid only for metallic conductors, provide the temperature and other physical conditions remain constant. Ohm's law is not applicable for gaseous conductors. Ohm's law is also not applicable to semiconductors such as germanium. So we know that these there are many substances and we can divide them in different categories based on the flow of electric currents through them. Like conductors, a component of a given size that offers a low resistance is a good conductor. That means there is a less resistance, means current can flow easily through such materials, and these substances are known as the conductors. With this, there are some substances also, like a conductor having some appreciable resistance, and that is called as the resistor, which resist the current to flow through the circuit. And there are some substances which offers a higher resistance, and these substances are known as the insulators, through which current cannot flow easily. Okay, so based on the flow of current, we can categorize the substances into conductors and the insulators. We can also call them as good conductors and the bad conductors. With this, we'll stop with this today's session, and I hope you all have pen and paper with you. So write down some questions as a homework. First question is, define current. Next, what is the unit of electric current? Next question, define electric potential and potential difference. What is the unit for potential difference? And last question, state Ohm's law and derive the relation for it. Thank you. So we'll stop here for the today's session. Take care of yourself and keep learning at home.